How much insurance do you actually need? We're going to actually cover the two pieces. I'm going to start with the auto and then we'll move into the home insurance. And then I may separate them so you guys have both options. Let's start diving in by a couple quick disclosures. I am not necessarily your agent and I don't know your situation, so financials are going to play a factor. I can't necessarily recommend a coverage to you because I am not the agent for you. If you have an agent, hopefully they are well enough to actually recommend this. If not, it's time to shop. I'll put a link in the description below. If you do decide to shop, either my agency or an agency that I work with can help you out. So the first part is never do the state minimums. That's pretty clear on any article you ever read anywhere. The reason state minimums exist is financial. Not everybody can afford the types of car insurance that you should technically have. If you're just starting off brand new, you got a new clunker car, you're just trying to get back from A to B, and you're in a rural setting, and there's 500 people in your town, yeah, great. That's probably a state minimum situation. But if you're worried about losing your income, if you're worried about losing any assets that you have, your car getting totaled and you not getting a different car, you not being able to drive to work back and forth for the next 45 days. If any of those are concerns, then you may want to pay attention to some of the higher level and additional options for car insurance that would help you out more. Yes, I get it. We all want the cheapest car insurance. There is a lot of car insurance that's cheaper, and you have those available. There are some budget companies, but that doesn't mean that you're a fit for those companies. So let's dive in and let's talk about the options. Some states do offer lower than this. For example, Florida, I think you can do 10 and 20, and we'll explain that in a moment. But most of the time, the state minimum in most states is 25 and 50. So Florida, you got to keep up. You're really low on your liability limits. And honestly, that's not even your state minimums. The 25 and 50, what that means is $25,000 per person. If you were to hurt somebody, it'll pay that medical for their injury. $50,000 per accident. So if you hurt multiple people in that same accident in that car, then you have up to $50,000 max. Somebody spends a night in the hospital, odds are you've maxed out both of those. That means that you're going to get sued or they're going to have to go after you. I've had a family member go through that situation where it was $1 million claim. There was nothing to go after, unfortunately, because the guy didn't have enough assets. But if they would have pursued it further, then it would have been a major change for that person's lifestyle. With that 25 and 50, typically they're going to say 25 for property damage. It's way too low, but that's really the starting point for most places. 25,000 property damage, that means if you damage someone's car, it's going to pay up to 25,000 for that repair. The next level, which is kind of the middle level, which most nobody does. It's $50,000 per person, $100,000 per accident, and then $50,000 for property damage. Why does most nobody do it? Because the next level really isn't much of a price cost difference. You might as well skip to the average medium level. This is why when you go online and you do quotes at .coms and do apps and do all of like these, we'll help you out and show you through our system. These tech companies, not that they're bad, but their defaults are this coverage, the middle line. Mainly because they still want you to kind of have good coverage, but they also want to give you the cheapest deal they can give you. So they'll offer you the state minimums, but they'll also give you their recommended. I've already vented about it. I made a video about it. If I find it, I'll link it here so you can check out what I'm talking about there. That level of mediums is $100,000 per person, $300,000 per accident, and then $50,000 for property damage. That's actually something I had somebody research, and they said 50,000 was common. I don't understand that because you should never do 100, 300, and 50. That doesn't make sense. It should be 100, 300, and 100. There are a ton of cars out there that are worth more than $50,000. If you hit a Ferrari, that's a different story, right? That means you're driving in Miami or somewhere really nice. But if you hit a nice BMW, if you hit an SUV, if you hit a good minivan, those things are 50,000 plus, and you're going to outpocket the difference. Let's say, for example, you hit a Porsche Cayenne. I've seen a ton of them out there. You hit that, you total it. Let's say that's a $65,000 vehicle. I don't know the real value, but let's just pretend. The $65,000 and you have $50,000 coverage, what are you going to pay? Do you have $15,000 on top of your deductible to pay for your car? Don't forget, you're increasing your insurance by about 15% or more because you had that at-fault accident. I get it, you don't plan on it happening, But what happens when you look down for a second and you thought or this or that and you swerved? The scenarios happen. Good people get in accidents. You just got to make sure you have the right insurance. Now, I'm just talking the liability limits. There's a ton other coverages, and we're going to go into the ones that I recommend as well. But don't forget, there's also uninsured and underinsured motorist. Right now, we're only talking about part one of a three-piece coverage. I always tell people there's coverage for you, coverage for others, and coverage for your vehicle. Right now, we're actually talking about coverage for others. So if you hurt them, if you damage their car, that's that scenario. You should still have some sort of medical coverage for yourself. You also should have uninsured motorist, which technically is medical insurance, but it pays out a little bit differently. At the end of this, I'm going to link a video that goes a lot more in depth on those coverage options. But let's talk about the ones that I typically recommend. Now, I get it. If you're in a higher risk state, Florida versus Michigan are two completely different scenarios. In Michigan, having those liability limits, those are called bodily injury, are way, way cheaper than in Florida because Michigan has something called PIP. They force you to have your own medical. If you don't have qualifying medical, you have to buy at least $250,000 or unlimited medical, which is what I personally carry. But that means if you're in an accident, this is a fault state versus a not at fault state. Hopefully I'm not losing you. That means they pay out whoever's at fault. Where this one, you go off and claim your own. Yes, will the insurances fight in the background and blame each other? Absolutely. But you're not going to see that on your end as the customer. The minimum that I typically do, I allow the 100, 300. That's okay coverage. It's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea. I personally carry and recommend at least 250, 500, and 100. You can do 250 or whatever the case is at the end as well. It doesn't really make as big of an impact. Most to every claim is under $250,000 for medical. So if you're in that 3-ish% or above that, then that's the risk that you may take. $250,000 per person, $500,000 per accident. Some people say you got to do $500 per person. Go ahead. That's not going to make a giant price difference. $100,000 for property damage or more. If you're in an area where cars are a lot more valuable, or if you think you're going to take a trip and you're going to go to Miami, you're going to go somewhere where there are Lamborghinis and Ferraris that are constantly there, and there's a chance that you could be in that area, then do $250,000 for property damage. Honestly, you're only talking about a $10 or $15 difference in cost in most cases. Uninsured, underinsured, both the same. $250, $500 covers people in your car, and then some sort of medical. I'm unlimited Michigan, but if you can do $10,000, that at least helps somebody in your car if they get injured. That way they're not stuck having to go sue somebody if they only broke their arm, or if it was something that was a little more minor that didn't injure them to a major point. So the ultra premium, what is the top of the top of the top? Typically, the most I ever see anyone do, and I've written a few of them, is a million, and whatever you want on property damage, 100, 250,000, might as well do 250 if you're going that high. And then same thing across the board, $1 million uninsured, $1 million, and you could even do a combined single limit. It's where you just say, I have $1 million, and it doesn't matter. The car's damaged, someone's hurt, whatever that case is, it just pays the $1 million up to if that is a covered accident. If you need more than that, this is where an umbrella starts to play a factor. I'm not going to go super in depth, but umbrellas come in excess of a claim. So $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million. You can go extra millions if you have a lot more income to protect and more assets to protect. You'll still keep the million on your car insurance, and then you'll add millions on top of that, which is very inexpensive, but it allows you to go beyond that because the chances of that happening are fairly slim, almost none. But that's available. So for the home, I actually think that my Insurance 101 on the home's going to go over that just as well. Let me know if you have questions or comments below, because it's not just about getting the cheapest car insurance. It's about getting the best insurance that fits you. You personally should have insurance that has more than what you are worth, more than what your assets are going to become, and more than what your future income will be. If you get in an accident and somebody is injured or there's a major claim and they sue you, they can take future income from you. They can take savings. And in some states, they can even take your retirement income, at least parts of it. So be careful on what coverage that you do go with. maybe try a few different options with the agent that you're working with. If you need more information, the part that goes really in depth on the coverage is my Car Insurance 101. If you want to learn more about that umbrella, I'll put the video here as well. Go ahead and check one of those out. Otherwise, I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.